All right, welcome everyone to this is going to be episode 13 of the Slowest Fast RC podcast. We're squeezing in a Friday night deal. That's why Mike's going to heaven in the background there behind him. It's still daylight for once. We're trying to squeeze one in while we have the time because it's outdoor season. We're all racing locally and traveling and doing as much racing as we can. But we're going to try to sneak a quick one in. Taylor's like to go over what we're going to dabble on tonight a little bit.
Not really. I was gonna let you lead it off.
Oh, well, I don't. Give me a second and I'll pull out your list. So,
I got it wrote down though. But talk about the INS drama. TLR's got a new car. I didn't tell you, but we have an announcement for the Slowest Fast RC podcast giveaway that we unofficially did.
we have a giveaway? Hey. Cool.
Yeah, we're getting big. And talk about some of the maintenance and stuff we do in between races, race prep, all that stuff. Going into setup, like the setup station, measuring droop, ride height, all those things that you don't do, Alex. And we got a few more topic stuff after that.
Alrighty. Well, without further ado, then I'm gonna roll a disclaimer.
Disclaimer. You're about to listen/watch a podcast hosted by a group of friends who tend to use vulgar language and profanity, and also enjoy pounding adult beverages. Viewer discretion is advised. Lastly, we may be making some bold statements. All views and statements made in this podcast do not reflect the views of any sponsors, guests, followers, or any supporters of this podcast. So be cool and don't get offended. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, there's the disclaimer. So let's get started. As I'm sure most of you have seen, recently. Actually, it happened. What, right when we were done filming Sunday night?
Yes.
Elite, I believe, posted it. Lefty was given an interview to, it was at INS, right? And Aiden Horn and Tater Sontag were coming off the stand, and he went to interview Aiden. And I didn't watch the race. I didn't see what happened on the track. But Aiden ripped the mic out of Lefty's hand, which is apparently what he does, which it makes great TV. And Aiden began to say how Tater took him out, yada, yada, yada. I'm his friend. I love the guy. And he just blatantly took me out, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's pretty worked up and emotional, and him and Tater behind him were exchanging some words with fingers in each other's faces. Now, what I saw on the Facebooks was, after the reel was posted, a lot of people saying, crybabies, it's just toy cars, yada, yada, yada. And that's where, like, some people don't realize, like, this is how some of these guys pay their mortgage. This is people's livelihood to a level.
I don't think it's that they don't like know or whatever. I just think they're so ignorant to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're
It's
in a
one or
totally
the other.
different world than all of us.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, it's even not necessarily like, you know, people that aren't into the hobby, but people that are into the hobby, but, you know, stick to their local couple of tracks or whatever, and maybe don't follow the pro side of it and don't keep up with all that, which is fine, you know. But I like you said, Mike, sometimes people can not know how big of a deal it is at that level. And if we watch F1, we watch Supercross, NASCAR, name your brand of racing sport, there's drama, there's heat, there's fights in the pits, there are fist fights. You go to any local dirt track or circle track in your area, there's probably going to be a fight there at least once a race, if not every other race. I used to follow around some dirt tracking and some circle tracks. Like, tempers flare, you know, because people are so passionate about the sport. Now, like, we're all passionate here, you know. 90% of the people that do this is pretty passionate about what they do. But now if we mix in, like, I have to win to be able to pay my mortgage, or, you know, to get a little extra money because this is my job. Fuck yeah, I'm going to be pissed off if someone takes me out. Again, I didn't watch the race. I'm not saying Tater took anyone out. I didn't see the on-track footage. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying all racers have a right to be emotional to a degree. Now, I think Lefty said it in his live he did Thursday, which would have been yesterday. How, or I saw someone say it, at least. But, like, I don't want to see people, like, actually fist fighting, you know? I don't want to see people coming off the stand and throwing punches. And, like, I don't want to see that. Like, there's no place for that, honestly. But do people getting in each other's faces, exchanging some words? I mean, I know I've definitely done that at a couple times in my career. Am I proud of it? No. But I've been there. I don't know if you guys can say the same. But when there's a camera there and a guy holding a mic that colorizes everything so well, and then it gets posted to the internet, and then I share it, and my friends share it, and their friends share it, all of a sudden, it's this big reach. And it circles back on my whole conversation I had a while ago on how we need to get RC televised. And drama is what it needs. And like Lefty said, this is why he gives people nicknames. He's creating characters, accurate characters. Mason Fuller, the Iceman, Cole Ogden, the People's Champ, etc., so forth. Because it's like, I'm not comparing RC racing to WWE, but we need a storyline. We need drama. We need rivalries. Aiden Horn, Tater Sontag, X-Ray versus Associated. I know TLR and Techno was a big rivalry locally back 10 years ago. Like, this is what drives people to want to keep up with it, to watch it. I could go on and on, but that was my main point. So how do you guys feel about it?
I agree with you, because I agree with Krista what she said the other night on the LCRC podcast. Like she's like, RC racing is boring to watch.
It is.
You know what I mean?
If you don't know what's
Like,
going on, it's boring. And it's the
Yeah.
same way with every racing sport. They're just turning, like, especially NASCAR, they're making left turns. F1, they're making left and right. But F1, they're all 10 seconds apart or whatever. And so when you don't know the drivers and you don't know who's running in points, and if you're just some random guy or girl, just turns on the TV and they're like, ooh, those cars are fast. Click, let's watch Real Housewives, you know? People want drama. Like, that is that old monkey shit that's still in our DNA. We want to see drama. We want to see people at each other's throats, hypothetically. So, anyways, you two, Taylor, Mike.
I don't necessarily like love Aiden Horn, but I appreciated him. I think that he's something that the sport and the hobby really needs. Like for just my personality type and his, like he's a little bit more arrogant and stuff than some of the people I like to hang out around. But I still follow him. I
Mhm.
watch some of his vlogs and stuff like that, and I appreciated him. And I think people like him are needed in the hobby.
Yeah.
Just like you guys said, RC's boring, and we need more drama and things like that. I don't want it to all be about drama. I want to watch racing and good close racing, but I want to see people be passionate about it. And I hate when somebody comes up off the stand with no emotions and they just thank their sponsors and things like that. They barely talk about the race and all that. Like that's not cool. We already know who your sponsors are. Um, I want to hear about the race. I want to hear about what angered you, what fired you up about that, what what went well. Excuse me, what didn't go so good. Also, when I watched the Aiden Horn interview and they came off the stand, watching some of his vlogs and stuff, at first I thought he was joking because I know him and Tater like hang out.
They're
and
bros,
they go
yeah.
race, yeah, and they go race and practice together. I'm still not fully convinced that a little bit of it isn't a joke
And it
per
might
se
be.
because
I don't know.
the two of them could be in on it to try and stir up more drama on purpose. I don't know. I didn't watch the race at all. I just seen the post race interview shared around is all.
So, I definitely think, like, I don't know if you guys have ever followed, like, professional wrestling in your lives, but to the
No.
viewers that may haven't as well, people love to follow a hero, like the good guy. You know, people naturally love to follow that good guy and support him and cheer for him. But what people love more than that is to hate the bad guy. And in wrestling, we called them faces and heels. Faces was the good guy, heel was the bad guy. So yeah, we want to cheer on our face. We want to cheer on our world heavyweight champion or whatever. But we love booing when the bad guy has that world heavyweight title. We love booing him. We love yelling at him when he's going up against one of our good guys. I don't know who's going to be the bad guy or the good guy in this Aiden versus Tater situation. I don't know either of them personally, so I'm not speaking on any of their character because I don't know them. I see them doing the thing on the social medias, and that's it. I don't know. But in a public eye regarding racing, if we want the hobby to grow to the next level, it wouldn't be a bad thing for one of them to take on the heel or the face role and then run with that. You know, WWE is such a followed thing, and yeah, it's fake. You know, all the storylines are planned out. It's acting.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, the hits are real. You know, they beat the shit out of each other. That's very true. People get hurt all the time, but like the matches are, you know, you're gonna win this match. Go do it, and then they wrestle for 30 minutes and then let the guy win or whatever. But I'm not saying let's make RC fake, but let's have some drama. Let's have some characters. Let's have some storylines. Let's let our emotions fly at the pro level and run with it. Now, like at the local level, at your 50-60 entry race at your local club track, dude, have fun. That's all that's for, is having fun. The weekend warriors having fun. There is no reason for people to be in each other's faces at those tracks. I don't
Drama
think.
at that level is going to end up leading to something bad, I think.
Yeah, no.
I was just gonna say, at
It
a club
does.
level, that's gonna be
Yeah.
a fist fight, not just a
Right.
you hit me. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's
Yeah.
like comparing your local dirt track or circle track, you know, like Jennerstown or like Wall Speedway in New Jersey or wherever you want to say. I know, is it? I forget the Wilkesboro down in North Carolina. They're bad for it with their weekend races of, you know, the local guys. There's always fights, you know. There's always bad, like aggressive drop, like hacking on the track at the local level. But then at the pro level, like NASCAR would be the pro level of that, or World of Outlaw or whatever. Yeah, there's still drama. There's still people chasing after each other in the pits, but it's not every race. It's maybe once a month or something. So, like, let's not fight people at the local level, but we can still let drama fly. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna fight you, Alex.
I'll
We all know
lose.
Facebook loves drama, so
Facebook definitely. Like, what was it? Hayden Deegan and Cole Davis or whatever his name was. I don't follow Supercross that much, but it popped up on my feed so much. Hayden Deegan wrecked his teammate in their main for Supercross to win the championship or whatever. Like, blatantly took him out. I mean, I don't know. I've never raced Supercross, but like it looked like Hayden took him out to me. But he's going for the win. So like whatever. And the whole time, like, they interviewed Cole and everyone, you go, Cole. Oh, we love you. And then Hayden goes up and gets interviewed. Boo! Boo! You're a fucking pussy. You know? People love to boo people. So at the pro level, we need people to boo, we need storylines, and we need this shit on TV. And Chris Berry had an honorable mention of we need to have an RC house, and Toucan, Jordan Updegraff, should be the main character, which I think is hilarious on paper.
that is funny.
Anyways.
Who should you hate in RC then?
Well, it depends.
Do
Like,
you want to throw some names out there?
I don't know, because I don't know anyone. Like, I know who they are. Like, I see them racing, and I see them at the couple races they go to, but I don't know them personally. But this is where the live media comes into play that, 46RC, Mod Live, Elite, etc. has been kicking ass with over the past couple years. And this is where the interviews really come into play. And walking around with that mic with the camera during, breaks and stuff. Get in drivers' faces. Ask them how their weekend's going. See what they say. You might catch them in a bad mood and they'll bitch and complain. And then you'll go find the guy they were bitching and complaining about and get your mic in his face. Let's see what they're going to be on TV, Let's find out who we want to hate. Could be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm like sadistic how I think, but
Sounds like a good plan for Saturday.
could be a great plan for Saturday. Toby, Krista, Yeah, that's all I got on that. I think I beat the horse pretty good there. So
Yeah,
let
Alex
us
is dead. Quit hitting it.
let us know what you think in the comments.
So TLR's got a couple new cars. You guys see that, Mike? You check
Oh, the
that out.
2-wheel. Do you know what else they came out with?
They got
Four-wheel.
a 2-wheel, a 4-wheel, and they showed briefly the stadium truck, but I guess it's probably lost in transit with all the tariffs or something. Who knows? They said it won't be out for just a little while yet. They're waiting for them.
I mean, honestly, like I saw like people posting the announcements for TLR, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but TLR the last like 10 years has been so low on my list that I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hate to like sound that way, but I
And
just don't care.
to add on
That's
to
where I
that,
was going with this. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say to add on, they're dropping a 10th scale, not a new ace scale. So then I really don't care. Because I mean, nothing against 10th scale racing, I just don't follow it as much as I do ace scale. So
Not that there isn't a following though for 10 skill. 'Cause
No,
it's just
no.
not our.
Yeah, there's a huge following for 10th scale, and I think you guys do it a little more than I do. But I just not that I don't care about it, just I'm more interested in the ace scale. So when they drop their ace scale, which I assume they will at some point, hopefully, but till then.
Yeah, I mean, granted, like I hope the best for TLR. It's where
Yeah.
they have a competitive car versus the current AE versus the current X-Ray, because that, in my opinion, those two are dominating the market. To where even if they can get a small share of that, great. Like, good for them. For like once the hype dies down and the initial ones are launched a year from now, if they're still selling that car, great. Or if
Do
it's
you
just
think
all
these cars
like
are gonna sell real well to the general racer populace that's already got cars, are they going to be switching to the new TLR car, or have they all abandoned ship to go to the X-Rays, the Mugen car, the Associated, the Schumachers, all that? Or
It might.
I'm kind of thinking that
Go
these
ahead.
cars are only going to sell to the people who already don't have a foot in the door.
So, in my opinion, it's not going to. I don't think anyone's going to convert to them, right? Because it's like a new model of a new generation. People just don't know. The people that are going to be buying it, in my opinion, are the TLR cult followers, right? They run live and die TLR because that's what they've always ran. Um, I don't see anybody switching to them. I see maybe people buying it just to try it, but not selling their current car. You know, just to see what it's all about, see if it actually is better. Maybe. Um, like it. I mean, I'm not going to. Like that's just me though. But to be honest though, I've never also been like that. Just because a new model comes out from a different brand, I'm not buying it to try it. It's it's I have the car that I have, and if I'm happy with it, I'm happy with it. I don't have 7 different brands of cars sitting here. You know what I mean? To try them. But
When I was at Macon Tracks last weekend, a few people that I know that I would kind of almost categorize at that hardcore TLR level, they had already switched to an X-Ray. So
Yeah, I've seen
yeah,
a lot of people, like even like in, because I'm still in some TLR groups from when I used to fanboy TLR a little bit 10 years ago, and a lot of people jump ship. Like there's still the diehards, like Mike said, the cult followers, but when they announced how they were pretty much disbanding the race team, a lot of people jumped to other brands. Specifically, X-Ray it seemed a lot of people went to. But
I mean, honestly, that happened long before that.
well, yeah,
You
it's
know,
been happening a
that was
while.
just the message that we all saw this past holiday season. We're like, oh, it's about time.
Yeah,
We knew that was going to eventually happen.
yeah.
But
mhm.
So I
I don't
mean,
know. Sorry, when I started noticing them giving up on their 3.0 short course because it was, in my opinion, the dominant short course, then that was just down in there. But
I still got mine. I love it. Nice truck.
yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic truck. But yeah, I don't know.
did you guys look
Some
at
people
it?
can.
I watched one
No.
video from Frank Root showing the 5-bolt rear diff on the 2-wheel drive.
Yeah,
They now have easy access diffs.
it looks
That's
great,
what-
but now it's just the same shit that everyone else has that they've been
Yeah,
buying.
kind of
Like
too
no,
too
they
late.
didn't copy, right? I'm not saying they copied anyone's design, but like A and X-Ray and everyone has had the quick diffs for a few years now in their 2 wheels, and I know like the 5.0s, at least this past carpet season, the couple races I went to, they were still doing well behind the curve, yes. So now it just seems like TLR built the same thing that is the newest X-Ray or Associated or Schumacher. It's a TLR, like they didn't copy it. It's the TLR car, but it just has all the things that everyone else has now with the quick change diff and the more forward shock tower, etc., so forth.
I watched a couple people comment that it's just the same car that Dakota Fen was running about a year and a half ago. So,
Yeah, I saw that too. I don't know. From what I read on Facebook of random people, they said it is. I don't know. Makes
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
You figured it'd have to be tested and developed before it was produced, so it makes sense if we flash back, was it 3-4 months ago or so? Well, I guess longer now. We're getting late into the year, but Dakota would have still been on the team in that testing and developing stage before they produced it massively. So probably is, but yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean, I'm rooting for TL. I root for all companies. I'm rooting for them.
it's good for the hobby in general. Like
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I'm
Yeah.
glad that their car is getting produced out.
No, and it looks like it's gonna kick ass. It's gonna be just as good as every other brand. So we'll just have to see come carpet season who has one.
You guys ready for the next subject?
What is it?
Sure.
It's our giveaway.
I'm not ready.
Oh,
No.
Someone just shit my
I'm ready.
pants.
Somebody just
So-
shit my pants.
I am here to announce the very first Slowest Fast RC podcast giveaway.
Okay, real
And-
quick. This is all Taylor. So give credit to Taylor on whatever he's about to say.
Can I get a drum roll?
You want to hear it on the mic.
Oh, okay, all right. So it is going to be Shane Yoder. And what did he win? He won the opportunity to glue a set of tires for us.
Oh, that's a great deal. That's an awesome giveaway.
I was waiting for you to say you're lending them your nitro buggy for the weekend.
Oh, no.
No, this is even better.
Kevin did get to drive Kevin's, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shane, I got a couple pairs tires back there. So I'll see you Friday.
All right, that's all I had.
That's great.
So what are you guys doing for maintenance and prep in between this race and the last race?
Can I
Oh,
start?
can I go first?
Yeah, I think mine will be
Yeah.
the shortest.
Just give it to Mike.
So, what I'm doing specifically this time is the past couple races I raced with my e-buggy, I've been playing with the diffs, and I knew my front diff was probably 2 or 3 races old, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna at least freshen my front diff because I just rebuilt the shocks during the last LCRC, which had been the last race I went to. So I'm like,
How often do you rebuild shocks?
every 3 races, car gets new fluids. For me,
So you run the whole event on the same fluid?
yes. Depend. Like that is like the max. Like, so if I'm playing with oil, because usually I feel like I'm at the level now where if I have the time, I'll try different oils if I feel like I need to in the shock or even the diffs. So it's a lot more often than 3 races, but at the absolute max every 3 races. And this is my first go around at LCRC, so now I'm running the car 2 to 3 times as much as I would than a normal 1-day event. So it's bound to change. Like, I know Motorama, I'd rebuild fresh after Motorama because, you put 30 or 40 minutes on the car compared to 15 or 20 you would at a club race.
Okay, fair.
So that's liable to change. But my normal practice was every 3 1-day races. Anyways, tore out the front diff to put fresh fluid in it, and I have a brand new bearing kit for my e-buggy. So I'm like, well, I don't feel like doing all the bearings, but I'm going to check them while I'm here since the front diff's already out. And the one diff felt a little crunchy. And so I'm like, okay, I'll redo the front end of the car because I'm this far. Got that far, and I'm like, well, this far, so I might as well do the rest of the car and do the rest of the fluid. So doing all new diff fluids, all new bearings. Minimal, I clean the cars. Minimal. Hit them with the power wash and the air compressor, and I brush them. But I've been learning how dirty the hinge pins get, so I think my whole maintenance routine's just gonna pick up. So yeah, I did diffs on my short course. I did all 3 diffs. I wanted to play with it, and they were due. I did shocks while we were at the race on Saturday night, so they're fine. Cleaned it, inspected it, and then e-buggy is all new diffs, all new bearings, cleaned and inspected. I changed the pills on the front end of both of them because set up, but that's my maintenance.
Fair enough. So my maintenance is kind of split right now because I'm racing tomorrow. So to get ready for tomorrow, all I did was just refresh diffs, and just give it a little once over. But after tomorrow, over the course of a couple days, both trucky and buggy will get torn down pretty much almost completely because I'll put all the parts in ultrasonic, get them nice and clean. But part of that is rebuilding all 3 diffs, shocks, check all the bearings, polish the hinge pins. I shouldn't say polish hinge pins because I'm not that into doing that. I just get a Scotch-Brite and run them through a drill, you know. and make sure every single screw is tight and everything should be loose is loose. Um, but that's like the short term of it. It seems fairly simple. It just takes 4 days to do it. But
Well, yeah. I mean, if you sit down in one go, that's a 4 or 5 hour process. Besides how
Easily.
long ultrasonic
Yeah.
cleaner takes.
yeah, easily.
How big's your
What-
cleaner?
It's to put a front like clip in it. I have to take the arms off the diff, so it's like 3 separate pieces, and then everything will
Okay.
fit in there.
Sounds
but
about the same
it's-
size as mine then.
Yeah, it's the I don't know, the medium sized one from Harbor Freight.
All right.
It's not very big, but it's big enough.
Where are
Yeah.
you racing at tomorrow, Mike?
WO.
Okay.
Tomorrow's their opener.
Oh, that's right.
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah, finally. Beautiful day of weather as well tomorrow.
I won't be there.
Yep. Shame.
Yeah, my buggy still has the rear and center diff out of it too behind me. So, well,
And then Lauren texted Chris and I he's not making it now either.
yeah, Lauren told me he wasn't making it a week ago. I never relayed that in because his wife has pictures for him or something.
Yeah.
He really tried
well.
getting out of it because I guess his kid was dancing on a flower pot and fell and busted up his face. And I'm gonna say it on the podcast. It's funny, and Lauren will get a kick out of it when he hears it. I guess like he got a bad cut on his like cheek or something from the fall, and Lauren used tire glue and kicker to clean him up.
That's funny.
But anyway, kid's fine, but he's got like a bruised face. So then he's like, he told his wife, he's like, "Oh, that sucks that Emmett's gonna have a bruised face for pictures." She's like, "Yeah, I didn't even think about it." And he was like, "Yeah, maybe we should reschedule him." And she's like, "No." So yeah. Anyways,
So on the side note, Lauren was my glue doctor at LCRC last time we were there. Because
yeah.
of course day one something happens to me every single time at LCRC. This time my like whole finger was like sliced open and like kind of like detaching from my finger. And he glued it back together and zip kicked me.
so Lauren isn't experienced.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
better at gluing body parts back together than he is gluing his tires.
Yep.
Let us know. I want to hear people comment if any other RC racers are gluing themselves back together with their tire glue. But
It worked great.
let's circle back on topic. Taylor, how do you get ready for an event?
A complete teardown. Like probably closer to what Mike does. Like everything gets torn down, tossed in an ultrasonic cleaner. Every single individual bearing that gets cleaned or replaced. I usually try to clean it first, and then I feel it out after the fact, or
Right.
kind of have like an idea how long I've used it to. And then if it feels crunchy at all or any sort of resistance, I just toss it, replace it.
Mhm.
My hinge pins and stuff, I polish them in a drill. Like I take them down, I polish them. Everything at the hinge pin for the arm that it runs through, I have a drill bit the same size. I put some WD-40 and just ream it out, get all the dirt and stuff out of those holes. I redo all the diffs, redo all the shocks. Pretty much whole build. I like to throw the the camber links and all that in the ultrasonic cleaner. Make sure you get all that dirt and grime out, so the balls at the end of the cups can move freely. Yeah, it sounds like an easy process when you say it over, but it's
Oh yeah, it's
takes me maybe 2 days. I try to split it up in. I did
Yeah.
earlier today. I rebuilt 3 diffs and I finished the whole truggy. This was like a bare chassis earlier today. I got the body on it now, but it was just a flat chassis. And then I leave the side body posts on, and usually just the steering posts, and then the rest is just torn down from there.
I want to add to this too is especially when you go to the lengths of tearing your car down to next to nothing and you put it back together. Your setup that you had on it is now null and void.
Mm-hmm.
Like it never goes back the way it came apart. You know, so I do throw it back on the setup station.
Yep.
And it actually touching on that too. Reading the last couple days,
Mine right
you
here.
see online like there's in off-road cars there gets a lot of slop in them, so on and so forth. I mean, yes, you're right. When you have them on a car stand with no load on them, yes, there's a ton of slop in an 8-scale car. When you have it on the ground at race ready on your table, and you have it under its own weight, and you have it's like gently settled forward or whatever, so everything sets. It's all their slop is really gone. So your setup station is still very, very accurate. You know what I mean? And it makes a big difference. It really does. I know we're gonna touch on some of that stuff later, so I don't want to deep dive, but
I
Roll into it and stuff
well,
too.
I had a couple questions for you, Taylor, real quick. And Mike, this goes to you too. But Taylor, how do you polish your hinge pin? What process do you use for that?
Usually use like a Scotch-Brite pad and sort of a wheel, drill. I bring them with me to the racetrack too, and then I use a polishing compound, usually just by Mother's.
So,
Just like a 2-stage
Yeah.
polish is good enough for that. So
so like obviously you want the car to be free, and in this case you want the hinge pin to spin in the diff case, and you want the A arm to spin on the hinge pin. You know, you want all that to be free, or however it's hooked up. I don't, because you're running pillow ball. I really don't know the science behind it, but um, is there like a reason you go to the polish? Is there like getting grooves worked into it, or is there just like maybe some slight corrosion that works up on it, or do you just feel more comfortable hitting it with the Scotch Brite?
so Scotch-Brite takes out any like nicks or things like that, helps clean it.
Mm-hmm.
And going up to polish, I feel like it helps deter dirt and stuff sticking to it.
Yeah, that
And,
makes sense.
and if you have to mar or anything like that with, it's a fine Scotch, right? You're really taking it down with like an 80 grit sandpaper.
Right.
And but you're just bringing it back up to a polish.
So, and that leads on to my second question is like, with any sort of Scotch Brite, you're really not going to take off material. But if we're doing this every weekend or every race or whatever, do you ever worry about if you're taking material off of that hinge pin enough to notice a difference at least or feel it?
No,
It doesn't.
not at
It
all.
just polishes it
No.
pretty much. Okay.
Yep. I'm not throwing it in my drill press and running it there for an hour or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Against a stone.
Yeah, just using the maroon Scotch-Brite typically. Could go to a gray if I need to,
Yeah.
and then just polishing it from there. And I'm not running it very long, just good enough to get it clean, make sure it's all smooth, and
Sure.
then polish it up.
Sure. Okay. Those are my questions.
And pillow ball maintenance too, like you kind of touched on that, making sure those are clean.
Yeah, that's a whole
I
other
always,
thing.
hit those with a dry graphite lube.
I was just gonna ask you, do you use like powdered graphite or like
Yeah,
a
I
dry
use
spray lube?
spray. Just a minute. It's just out of reach. Usually just anything from like an auto parts store or something like that. Just a
Okay.
graphite
Yeah.
spray lubricant.
And I feel like this is good conversation to touch on because I'm pretty ignorant to this. But Mike, with RC Hub cars,
Yep.
do you, other than cleaning it, do you do anything for lubrication like there at the rod ends and stuff, or is it just
No,
clean it?
nothing.
So,
Nope, just clean it.
so this leads into my next subject or point, I guess. When people are wanting to get into A scale, like on the local level, and they're whether they're new to racing or inexperienced or don't go as hard as us or the higher level or the whatever.
Higher level. Thanks for including me in that.
But I and it's nothing against any other brand, but like you can tell like how your local racers are for the most part. And I try to steer people more towards a C Hub car at first because first of all, if we want to sit here and debate which car is actually better, it's a never ending debate. All the cars are great, But on the A scale side, I try to steer like the more the local people that race once like a couple times a month and really don't focus on the maintenance too much. Like they'll rebuild their diffs and everything, but you know, I try to steer them more towards a C hub car, not because of brand loyalty or trying to promote or anything like that, but just because I know it'll be easier for them to maintain, especially if they're coming from like a 2-wheel buggy. You know, there's a lot more maintenance that needs to be done on these A scale cars. 4-wheel drive, lots of three diffs, bigger shocks, they're taking more abuse, etc. and so forth. So for me, I want to tell people, like, especially if I know their level, like to get the lower maintenance thing that's going to be fine with lower maintenance. Not saying the pillow ball cars won't, but I know how you need to make sure the pillow balls stay clean and free and everything. So that's like a whole another step. And maybe it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I never ran pillow ball, but
So,
It's
so
not
I
that big of a
talked
deal. But go ahead.
yeah, to Alex to kind of go along what you were saying. So if you take a look at the current generation techno, right? You look at the C hub in the front. You have the metal sleeve that goes in the caster block with the pin that goes down. It's slightly undersized.
right,
That combination keeps that incredibly free.
right.
Right. And then the sleeves and on all the pivot points and all the arms keep your hinge pins, even when they're dirty.
It's still
incredibly
free, yeah, because it's like basically adding a bearing. And you know,
Yeah, yeah. Versus like I'd say like a C hub car, they are much more likely to pull in dirt.
you mean a pillow ball?
Or, sorry, not C, a pillow ball. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, pull in dirt to the pillows, like the balls,
Right.
and scratch the living crap out of them and score them and all that stuff because it just sits in there, and rubs on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So unless you do what Taylor does to at least blow them out and spray something in there,
Yeah.
so like there's that I don't know, yeah. So there's that one extra layer with a pillow ball that you do really have to pay attention
And
to.
and Taylor, I know you brought up about how they make like the plugs for them now. Different people do to help prevent the dirt coming in. But
Mike, I put a little 3D printed cap over top of mine too. That helps.
Yeah,
keep the
and I'm
dirt
sure
out, at
that
least
that
from
helps
the
a lot.
front
Yeah,
end.
but I
it's
mean, you're still completely
dust
open on the
is dust.
backside too.
yeah,
Yeah,
dust and
absolutely.
dirt's always going to find its way in where it wants to be and where you don't want it to be. But
Yeah, and if you're running on like a more abrasive, or I shouldn't say abrasive track, uh, a track that has bigger dirt granules, like some tracks, they don't actually use topsoil or they don't use clay. That will find its way in there, and those pieces of dirt or whatever it is stay large, and they will just score the living crap out of them. You know,
I'm sure
so
we've
you
all
just have
been
to
to
do
a
it
track
way more
too
often.
that dirt like causes rust a lot faster. Things like
yeah,
that you see. By the time you
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
home and
yeah.
start cleaning it there, you
yeah,
see
I
it kind
know.
of forming.
When I was
That's a
doing
big
the big
Florida thing.
tear down on my e-buggy, like I noticed some little rust spots on my axles. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I need to get better at this. But buff those off so now they're not there at least. But winding back, I just felt like that was a good conversation with the for a beginner that wants to get into A scale on where you should steer them. Not again. I'm not going to sit here and say X brand's better than Y brand. I'm just
I
personally
don't think it's
yeah.
as big of a problem as what you're thinking, Alex.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, because I don't know either. So
yeah.
ignorance plays a card there. But
And another thing I'd say is, you do all this maintenance, you do all this cleaning or whatever. Where you store the car matters a lot.
oh
too.
yeah,
Like a high humidity environment. I mean, granted, places like Florida and stuff like that, you can't really get away from that. But like, I wouldn't leave them in my garage or anything like that,
or in your
or the
car
basement.
like I used to.
Yeah, or in your car. Yeah. Just bring them in the house. Temperature controlled over the winter. Just throw
Yeah.
it in your closet.
Yeah.
It's temperature. Yeah.
Yeah, all brands
But
play a big part there, or suffer from that
yeah,
neglect.
yeah. I mean, that's just metal. Because once you start wearing the coatings off the metals and the steels, like it's all
Yeah,
gonna rust.
moisture is gonna make rust, no matter what you
Yeah.
do. Anyways,
So after rebuilds and all that, who here uses a setup station?
Alex used my. Oh, sorry, I used mine on Alex's at LCRC.
I have a thing now where I've still never set droop, and it's my goal to never set droop. And when I say that, I mean I'm going to make Mike set my droop.
So, Mike, tell me why you like to use a setup station.
It really, dude. So last summer, go back a little bit, right? So last summer I borrowed one from Chris Patterson, and for the life of me, after using it, I could not understand why I didn't own one sooner. The accuracy of everything, because I don't care who you are or how good you think you take care of your pit board. If that thing's made of acrylic or some sort of, plastic, it's going to warp. I guarantee you it's warped right now. It's not flat. And when you put it on a setup station, um, I mean, granted, I never tried it on that warped board, but it's going to be different because your footprint of where it's getting the reading from is so much wider. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like a 3-inch thing. It's not just that little piece of plastic or that just a single red eye gauge or whatever. It really opened my eyes to where I had my car on my setup board using my gauges. I'm like, okay, this is right. Put it on the setup station. It's like 2 mil off everywhere. Okay, cool, sweet. So I keep that for trackside stuff and setup station for at home, so I know it's perfect before it leaves. But accuracy, that's why I like using it.
I feel like it's really easy too.
It is. It's kind of intimidating at first. Like the first time I used it, I was like, I don't know how to use this thing. And when you put it together, you put it on the car. You're like, am I doing this right? Well, I can tell you, there's only one way to put it on the car, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, don't worry about that. But yeah, it is incredibly easy to use.
I always hated setting toe because I've done it multiple different ways. Whether you find like center line of the car, measure from there, and measure the rear of the. I've never used like actual wheels. I'll either use like a 3D printed flat face of plastic or like an old wheel, and I'll measure from one that's broken or something like that on my setup board. And I'll measure the front and then I'll measure the back and all that, and I'll calculate degrees of toe from there. And I got a couple other tools and things like that. But with the setup station doing toe, it's so much easier.
Oh god, yeah. The plate that's yeah, it takes all of the guesswork out of it.
Yep.
All of the guesswork completely out of it. The only thing you do have to make sure you do is your Ackerman plate, how it mounts to the steering posts, like the uprights, where those screws are. That has to be completely centered with the front diff case. If that's not centered, your toe is off. There's something wrong with your steering to where something's wrong. Yeah, if that has to be straight first and foremost. Then you set your toe, then reset your endpoints. If you had to like adjust a lot of your or toe lengths, but because your endpoints will change.
Yep.
I thought it was
Go ahead.
I thought it was interesting, Mike, what you were saying about the setup boards to begin with, and witnessing that with Lauren's acrylic setup board, seeing the difference. Because yours is wooden, right, Mike?
Yeah, so I had funny say that, and we're talking about setup boards, because we've been thinking about buying a sheet of carbon fiber and making our own for like $300, cut like 3 or 4 of them out of them,
Yeah.
pitch in whatever. I have the hoodie one now, and the thing's great. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic setup board.
Baller.
Yeah, right, luxury. But to me, like I dropped it at Tim's over the winter, and I chipped the corner of it.
Ooh.
All it is literally just like pre-finished MDF with like a banding on it.
Yeah.
So like I was gonna talk to a couple guys because I want to get a bigger one to fit the truck on it. Like let's just buy a sheet of MDF, cut them, and put edge band on them.
Right.
I have a
It's
guy.
the same thing.
Have you seen my setup board or not?
I don't think so. Oh wait,
Taylor's
is
is
it that
pretty
really
sweet.
thick acrylic one?
Yeah, it's really thick.
Yeah.
And it's got my name cut into it, and it's got
got
like
lights
a
too,
tool
or
tree cut
something,
into
right?
it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's got spots for shocks, a handle, all that stuff, and
Yeah,
it's
no, I
really
just-
big.
It's pretty dialed.
It's a guy named Rick Harris that he's a techno moderator, and
Okay.
he makes them for really cheap, like probably cheaper than you're going to be able to make your own because he does them through
Oh,
his
yeah?
work. Highly recommend him, and I can send you a
So
link to him if you need.
yeah, actually, please do that. Because your acrylic pit board, with it being so thick, it's going to last so much longer. Like
Yep.
all the other ones that you buy are that the 3 mil thick
Yeah,
or whatever,
that
4 mil
that don't
thick,
work.
and they bow. Even just like sitting in your trunk of your car. Like I used to store them out of my car, 'cause, whatever. Yeah, just sitting in there, just the hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Like the expanding of it, it slowly starts to warp itself.
And this is
Yep.
where I circle back, and I'm really happy with my custom pit board, where it was a mirror that was in my house I took down, and because glass doesn't bend, you know,
No,
it's gonna be straight or it's gonna be broke. That's it. My glass ain't broke. I got a piece of wood behind it for support, and I got the tacks around it to hold it in place. I'm always gonna be flat, no matter where I put that thing. That thing is gonna be perfectly zeroed out level. Or flat. Maybe not level, but flat. So maybe, and like if you have a friend that has a wood router, and you get a chunk of plywood and you router, a eighth of an inch deep, where a piece of glass or a mirror or whatever will lay in there nice, and you get really fancy, and you could like put a sticker on the bottom side of it, but then it's through the glass, then it looks pretty, and the sticker's never gonna get touched, and you can stain or paint the wood how you want it. Could be very good ways to do this, but
I'd be so worried about breaking it all the time. That's the only thing I don't like about glass.
I wrap it in my pit mat, and like, I put it in, like when I'm packing, it goes in last on top of everything, and then when I'm moving
Yeah.
it, I'm not chucking it. But other than that, like for how I am, if it was fragile, I would have broke it by now. And Mike, how you are, you'd never break it, because I know how
I mean, there's
more
some,
gentle you are.
yeah, there's some dumb shit that happens though.
Bad luck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Like, you can be as careful as you want, but sometimes there's
Yeah.
just stuff you can't
Yeah,
avoid.
and glass is unforgiving.
Who wants 7 years of bad luck? Get a glass
Yeah.
pit board.
Maybe that's why I've been doing so hot at races, because mine is currently broke. The bottom inch broke off, but the stickers held it together, so I glued it together and then put it on the wood, because the usable surface is still usable.
You use hot glue.
No, I use CA glue. Use tire glue and kicker. I did use hot
Yeah,
glue.
never-
I did use hot glue to put it down to the wood, though, and then use like the frame brackets or whatever, hold it down on the outside.
So how come you don't use a setup station, Alex?
I never invested into one. They make complete sense. Like, I was always like, nah, you don't need that. Just throw it down and whatever. But like, I don't know. The more I learn, I feel like I'm learning at a rocket ship pace. They're definitely, I almost want to say necessary. They make complete sense. Like you guys said, takes all the guesswork out of the toe, because normally it's like, that was a little bit there, that was maybe twist this one a little bit more, and now it's good. No, get the measurement, you're done. And I just haven't invested into one yet, because Mike has one, and he's my droop guy.
Want to lead into droop next? Droop and ride height. How you guys measure it and set it?
Before that, can we play a commercial, because I gotta use it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to play a commercial from ACS. They are working on their website. They got some Traxxas stuff on there, and some other stuff. They're working on getting the associated stuff on there. I will find the link and put it up. So, another place to get your hobby needs online. But here's the commercial from ACS.
So, how do you hobby? At ACS Hobbies, we've got everything to fuel your passion and spark your creativity. Whether you're into RC cars, model trains, boats, or planes, we have a huge selection of kits, parts, and accessories. Need paints or tools? We've got you covered. Test your skills on our RC crawler course or race on our oval track. There's always something fun to do. Plus, discover an awesome range of games for all ages. ACS Hobbies is your ultimate destination for hobby enthusiasts. Visit us today and start building your next adventure.
All right, we're back. Taylor, you have the floor.
So Alex, leading off of that you don't use a setup station, how are you measuring your droop and your ride height?
Oh, ride height's easy.
Notice he just skipped droop completely.
This short topic will be done
Yeah,
pretty soon here.
So this is the only car I have wheels on, but I just set it on the table. So I'll set it on my setup station. Yep. And I will, like if it's, I'll do this, warm up the shocks. Sorry you're getting sick from watching the video. I'm changing this method too. But I warm up the shocks. Okay, shocks are warmed up. Press the front down, let it go back up. Go to the flat spot on the chassis. This one's set at 37, but I don't race this car. But, okay, if that's what I want, it's what I want. If it's not, I'll make an adjustment. Press it again. Check it again. Okay, now it's good. Press the rear down. Same thing. Flat part on the chassis. It's not what I want. Twist, twist, twist. Press it again. I'm at what I want. That's how I've been doing ride height, which I found out when Mike had my car on his setup station. My ride height tended to be 1 to 2 millimeters higher than, like, my ride height that I set would be 24, 26. But then when Mike puts it on his setup station, it would be 26, 28. So I'd be 2 millimeters higher ride height on the setup station. How does that translate? But what I do know is I'm like the only guy doing it my way, and all the pros are doing it the drop and roll technique. So there's something to it. So I think I'm basically running 2 millimeters higher than everyone else is, which isn't good.
So when Jim told me that whole method, right, the drop and roll, doing just my car drop and roll, so on and so forth, it was between 2 and 3 mil different.
Yeah.
Like doing it the way you did in the drop and roll.
And
So it's a pretty big difference.
And my initial thought was, like, because I think I was either there or you or Jim told me about it after you guys talked, which, fine, makes sense. But my initial thought was, it shouldn't matter as long as you do it the same way every time. Like, as long as I press and measure every time, I'm going to be consistent. Which is true to me. I have been consistent at those measurements on my setup board. But
Correct.
that measurement isn't what it is on the track.
You just
And
then
yes.
can't compare
Yes.
to other people. Like
Correct.
that's the problem. I have no problem with how you do it, Alex.
No,
It's fine, just like you said, as long as you're consistent. But then
Yeah.
if you need help with your ride height and you're talking to the local techno guru, Mike, and Mike's like, what's your ride height? It should be
Yeah.
24, 26 or whatever.
And I'm 23, 25,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I also know that what I set it on the table isn't what it is on the track. Now I know that. Now I know I'm 2 millimeters higher on the table than I am on the track. So. But
That's when it comes to ride height. My eyes were opened over the winter. Like it's about 10 scale.
yeah,
1 millimeter of ride height is
makes a world of
enormous.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
World
So
of
when
difference.
you're talking 2 mil, even on 8 scale,
Or 3
it's-
mil. It could even
it's
be
a-
3 mil.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely done with the method I just demonstrated and talked about. I'm done with that. I'm doing the drop and roll deal after I get a clinic from Mike and Davey how to do it. Now droop. So there's ride height. I've been doing it wrong. I've been doing it consistently wrong, but I've been doing it wrong. Droop, never done it in my life. I make like the arms even with the screws and the A arms. That's it. Mike set my droop at last LCRC
How do you
race.
measure even?
Yeah. Looks good. Eye it up.
Yeah.
Which I think I deserve some flowers because I think how I've been setting up my cars, I've been doing pretty well. I'll give myself the flowers on that boat. So,
His arms look like this.
yeah, right. So, I'm forcing Shane Laux to have a droop setting clinic Friday morning for me. So, I'm going to learn how to set droop, and I'm going to get the tools, and eventually I'm going to get a setup station. When? I don't know. What brand? I don't know. But eventually I'm going to get one. I'm at least going to figure out how to set droop and what tools I need for that. I'm going to start doing it because I want to get faster. And if you want to drive like Lewis Hamilton, you know, you got to find your invisible speed. We should be sponsored. That was such a good plug.
I'll counter argument that and say maybe if you want to get faster, you should still just practice.
Oh yeah. No, more track time is always a
Not
good
against
solution.
like having a properly set up car though.
Yeah. More track time is trumping all, but
So
when the car's set up right.
But Alex, where you're at in your racing career, you have track time.
Yes.
Now you need to improve your other areas so your
Yeah.
car is actually consistent from run to run.
Right. Yeah, definitely where I'm at, it's my bench time that needs to get a little bit better. Like everyone could always use more track time, you know. I will never say I don't need more track time, but my primary focus right now is at the time being, I need to get better on the bench, setup, maintenance, etc. And keeping my pit space clean.
I was
Yes,
gonna go
please
there.
do.
Thanks.
Yeah, please do. But
It's
hey,
a
we're
fair
working
thing.
we're working towards that.
We're working
Alex,
on
right?
that.
Yeah, we're working on that. So Alex, you were talking about your droop. Hey, you just eyeball it, whatever. So up until I don't know 2 months ago or something like that, always measure droop from shock length, right? So and on 8 scale, it's the center on your pins.
Yeah.
that the shock mounts to. So it was brought to my attention by Chris Pieri and a few others that it can be different left to right. And okay, cool, you believe them and whatever, but you still do your thing because that's how you've always done it. Um, I recently switched to the droop blocks, where you actually set the car on a set height, and then you use a ride height gauge to measure plus or minus, center or axle height, center of chassis, or whatever it relates to. And like he said, my droop left to right was different. It was not even though the shock lengths were the same, droop was different.
Yeah, and to capitalize on that, which I agree with, I saw Chris in one of the techno groups talking, science to someone, and Chris and I didn't have this conversation ourselves yet, but he was talking about how like the preload can even be different on each shock due to, one side's going to be heavier, whether it's nitro or e-buggy. One side's going to be a little bit heavier than the other because unless you're putting that bitch on the 4-corner scale and you're adding weight where it needs to go, one side's going to, they're going to weigh different. So when you're really doing the math, you might have an extra half a turn, maybe even 2 turns, I don't know, on your left front compared to your right front. So I got out of the habit of even measuring my preload with calipers and ensuring they were the same left to right, and now I just adjust it to what it needs to be to fit my ride height. So, not saying I'm doing the right thing or not, but
On that aspect, I've never done that. Oh, I should say, no, I do that. I do on my shock bodies. My preload spacers are roughly within a mil or so of each other.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I would never want one side to be 5 mil more than the other.
Oh yeah,
Vice
I
versa.
don't think it's that much of a difference, but
Yeah, I mean I haven't done it in years, but normally, or at least in the past, I used to notch my preload rings or whatever. So you know how much you're actually turning it.
yeah.
Just by where that
Instead of
that
just
notch
feeling
is.
it, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, even still, I don't know, you get to a point where you have a good feel for it. So like even after you set your ride height, you measure it, it's still really close. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I don't think I would ever set ride height based off of one side of the car being heavier than the other.
Well, I mean, if you think about
You know
it,
what I mean? Like,
if
I
you
don't
if you
know.
like,
it makes sense.
if you
but I'm not running
measure,
oval, so
well, if you measure the four corners of the car, you know,
yeah,
and if you want that bitch level, you're gonna measure the four flat corners of the car. And if you gotta adjust to fit that, there might be something to that. You know,
there might be.
I don't, again, I don't know, but the math on paper and in my mind makes sense to me. Taylor, you're pretty geeky on this.
I've corner scaled my short course trucks before, but they're also it's tough too, especially with short course. I would say because they don't fly well.
Right.
So you want the balance to be a little different. Um, but I don't worry about it. I do the same thing Mike does. Like when I'm building a car or rebuilding a car as well, I'll take my calipers and I'll measure from the top of the shock cap to the adjuster and make sure it's very close, or at least the starting position's the same.
Yeah.
And then within 1-2 millimeters,
Yeah.
just go from there.
Which is fine.
And if I'm making like a whole bunch of adjustments too at the track on a weekend, like I'll bring my calipers back out and just make sure that they're pretty close
Yeah.
side to side.
And like I'll look at mine, and as long as it looks like eye wise, visual wise, if I visual check it and it looks like they're pretty much the same, I'm fine. If I can tell with my eyes that they're one's lower than the other, then I'll put the calipers to it and make it the same. Because even adjustment wise, I really don't think you should have more than like 2 millimeters more preload in one side than the other. Front and rear, of course, sure, but definitely not left to right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly think you would notice more of a difference between the springs than if you have more preload left or right.
Yeah.
Because even though like you can take the same two springs that are the same bag, run them, and one may compress more than the other.
Yeah. I agree.
You know what I mean? To where like I mean at my level, I doubt I'd ever notice a difference left
Right.
to right like that.
Right, yeah.
But, like, I mean you can put them on a bench and like one might be slightly lower than the other, and you're like, oh, okay.
We
So
could
now
counter
you're,
argue
you know,
running any nitro car because as you start, it's going to be heavier on one side with the
It's
fuel
gonna
tank.
change, yeah. You're
And
right.
then,
Mhm.
7 minutes in, it's out of fuel. Are guys making suspension adjustments to compensate for that?
no,
Mostly
they set it
no.
up for when it's full. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, I mean, you just know it's gonna get lighter
Yeah.
and lean out and all that stuff, but you just deal with it. Like
Yep.
it's just part of nitro racing.
Cowboy shit.
And you just drive the car. You get it close and set up, and then you just drive it from there. I think so. I think
Yeah.
we're trying to split hairs too much on this whole side to side corner balance.
Yeah,
But I feel
unless
like-
we're racing oval, I don't see the point.
Well,
Yeah.
and to be devil's advocate here, I think the hairs are worth splitting to a level. Like, maybe not so much on nitro, because, like we said, your weights are going to change throughout the race. But I feel like the hairs are worth, maybe not necessarily splitting, but worth looking at and maybe measuring up. I think it's worth thinking about. Maybe even, like, at LCRC, don't laugh at me if I'm putting my ride height gauge on all four corners, because I want to see what's going on. I want to see how close I am, because like I'm sure we're all the same when we're measuring ride height after you do your technique of putting the car compressed. You're just putting it in the center on the flat spot of the chassis, or close to the center of the flat spot of the chassis, and that's it. Right.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, I've never put my shit on the corners of it to see if there's a difference. That's all.
Too many nicks and stuff in the corners.
And that's also a good point. So there's a lot of hairs to be split here, but I don't know. I think it's worth thinking about. Fun science.
I mean, it's definitely fun science, and I'm sure the people designing the car are thinking about that.
Yeah.
And they have to. You can't have a car massively off balance left or right.
Right.
You can front
Yeah.
to back, but not left to right.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah, you would notice that when you drive it. You'd be like, wow, this thing is
Terrible.
horrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Anything
But-
else about setup you guys got?
No.
Uh,
I'm curious what other people think though.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to make sure we all agree on and people know that when you change tires, you should also recheck your setup because, these tall pins might not be as tall of a tire compared to a double bar or a positron or an ellipse.
Oh yeah, even if you go to the same tire, your foams are different.
Yeah.
Your tire wear is different.
Yeah.
Your ride height, especially compounds too, like your ride height changes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it should be, in my opinion, it should be common practice for everybody that before you go out into the track, you check your ride height every single
Every
time.
time. Yep. That car
Every
does
single
not
time.
see the track till ride height and camber's checked. Which your camber
as-
should stay the same
Cam-
if you're not putting it on the
Yeah, I was
track.
like, yeah, so camber shouldn't change, but your ride height will
Yeah.
throughout the day.
But if you're already checking your ride height, you might as well put the camber gauge on it and make sure. That's how I see
How
it.
were you checking camber before then, Alex, with your camber so far off?
Again, same method. Press.
Who's that one guy from the Adam Sandler movie that drives the Corvette with one eye pointing this way and one eye pointing that
I don't know his name, but I know who he is.
Looks good to
now.
me.
Looks good to me.
way?
No, I would
Is that what you're doing for camber?
I would press. I'd set ride height first.
All right.
Once ride height set, I'd press. Put the camber gauge up against it, adjust as needed, press, check it, adjust, press. Till I'm happy in all four corners.
Are you checking camber with a camber gauge and tires?
No, I'm checking it with a beer can. And no, I'm joking. Yes, a camber
good
gauge.
method.
Camber gauge and tires.
So I don't like checking them with tires on because the tire
sidewall.
and foam and yeah.
Well, which
Yeah, you
also
gotta, if you do it with tires, you got to rotate the tire. Check it at different
which I've
points.
never done. And I'm working on that method. I have a thing in my head for, 8-scale buggy that you just mount up to the tire. We'll get into that
What I've
whenever I have something
literally
developed.
Always had sitting next to you is junk wheels.
Yeah, I've
that
seen
have no
that.
Tires on them.
Yeah.
Again,
I
you
asked
just
you
put 'em
about
on
it.
a setup board. There's no rubber or anything, so when you're on a setup board and you make the adjustment, it moves pretty easy.
Yeah.
And there's no drag to it, and then you can measure camber easily like that.
Which I guess the math shouldn't change with the height of your wheel and tire. Like if this measures out to 100 millimeters end to end circumference and I put on ellipses and they're 105 millimeters,
Camber
that shouldn't
will
change your camber.
throughout the ride height. Camber will change throughout the ride.
Well,
height.
yeah, but if you set your ride height on the tires you're going to run and then you put on, just wheels or you put on setup wheels or whatever, camber it, is your ride height going to be different compared to, because this
Your ride height will be different, but your camber will be the same.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
set your ride
I know
height,
what you're getting at.
set your ride height on the tires you're gonna run, then take those
Yeah.
tires off, put on your blank wheels or whatever your
Yeah.
setup
'Cause,
wheels.
rightfully so, like setup stations, your tire is actually like 3 inches off the ground.
Right.
Like your axle is actually like 2-3 inches off the ground.
Right.
So. But yeah, so before I put the car in the setup station, I set ride height, then put the setup station on it.
Yeah. And I guess that's something I was always kind of worried about is if that would change, but I never really thought about the math as hard as I just did, which wasn't hard at all. So I don't know.
There's smoke coming out of your headset.
There's what?
There's smoke coming out of your headset.
That's fine. It was coming out of my basement fucking 12 hours ago too, apparently. So
Ooh.
anyways.
So I didn't prep you guys for this question. I just kind of wanted to go like a circle around and say what I can't even say it. I'm sorry. What's one thing you're thankful for in modern day RC compared to 5 to 10 years ago? Just to kind of reflect
Ooh,
upon
that's a
things
good
that have
baseline.
changed. And both of you guys have done RC a ton more than I have. So that's why I only went 5 to 10 years. And I'll start this off. And even within my 5 years or so of racing RC, I would say being able to view races that are streamed live, and because I've been around but not involved in it enough to see years ago where you had to wait for magazines.
Mm.
And I remember seeing all the magazines that would have coverage and all that. And then slowly, as things have caught up, YouTube, 46RC, all the other media coverage outlets. So I think that's something pretty cool.
I I'll go before you, Alex, because I'll forget. Honestly, Taylor, I'd say people like Ryan Harris that actually have a YouTube channel that follows themselves racing, right?
Like vlogs.
When they, yeah. I think more people should do that. Like I know we were talking to
too.
Joey a little bit about that. Like,
I hope he takes
um,
their advice and does it because I think
I
one,
think he'd
he
do
could
great.
benefit from an income, and two,
yeah,
I'm super interested to watch that from him.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That to me is more interesting than watching like live RC's live broadcast.
okay,
Now I'll go back to the live broadcast to watch the A mains, but I don't sit there for the
Whole
7 or
day,
8 hours
yeah.
and watch.
No, I'm the same way with that.
Yeah, I'd rather go like wait a couple of days after and watch like Ryan Harris was at PMB. I watched his 45-minute long video.
Yeah.
Just follows him throughout the weekend. It's really interesting, and he does a really good job making them. You know. So I'd say I
Alex?
guess YouTube.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm gonna back you guys up on the whole just social media thing, more specifically the live media coverage, because I think it was 2017, 2016, or I think it was 17. It'd have been 2017, might have been 2018, 2017 or 2018 P&B was like probably the first race I actually watched from my house. Watched in the living room, my parents' house. Mike, you might have even been at that one. But I know like
Probably.
McWigan was there and the Lances were there, and so I was
If Jeremy was there, I was there.
yeah, Jeremy was there, so I was rooting him on, and I was rooting
Yeah.
the Lances on. And at the time, I remember seeing your name in the local area, but I didn't know you yet. But thinking back to watching it on Live RC, then it was a video feed, but like all you got was one follow cam on the cars, and that was it. But now the production for these larger races is just insane. Honestly, you have multiple different camera angles, you have interviews, you have so much going on. You have not just listening to the announcer, because I think back then you didn't even hear the announcer in the stream. It was just like the grid going across the same it does today, but that was it. But now you have an announcer at the race, and then you have like 2 or 3 commentators for the stream, which is fantastic. So across 10 years, it's gotten tenfold better. And back when I got into it, about 10 years ago, that was right when lipos and brushless was really becoming like good and common. Like lipos and brushless have been out for years at this point, but now it's like the industry standard. But now like technology has come so far and all the things you can do and how many different companies there are, and just it goes with technology in today's age, how fast it's moving. And I think it's really good and really nice in that aspect. But if I had to pick one thing, it'd be the media coverage, and then to touch on the social media with the podcast, the thing we're doing right now, that just became a thing over the past 3 or 4 years. I don't know. Everyone doing YouTube videos and vlogs, so that's great for the sport, and they're fun to watch for me. So yeah.
Say camera coverage wise, the only thing I don't like is the drones that follow the cars.
I was gonna ask that if you guys
I don't
like
like
them or
that.
not.
I love it. I think it really,
I kind of like it.
yeah, to me, it really puts
Not
you in a
ton, but little
mindset.
bit.
I think it puts you in a mindset to see how fast these cars are moving on the track. And I know, like, maybe this is why you don't like it, Mike, but I know people say, oh, it makes them, like, motion sick or whatever. I don't get that effect, so I don't get it. I'm not speaking on it, but I think, like, it really makes you understand just how fast these cars are going around the turns and everything, to me.
So I don't get that either. I don't get motion sickness or anything like that. It's more when I see the drone on the track, I actually have more feeling towards the drivers on the driver's stand because it's distracting.
Which it was Joe Bornhorst that had trouble with that at a P&B, didn't he, or something? And, like, hit his car.
It was either Joe or it was Mayfield. It was one of the two, but it was a pro driver that actually did yell during like a qualifier or something to get the drone out of the track.
I thought it like hit
because
one
it
of
was
their cars
distracting.
or got too close or something.
I mean that's possible too. To where I don't think it would really take out an 8 scale because they're small, but
Yeah, but still, if drone
but
hits my 8 scale, I'm going to be a little perturbed about it.
yeah, I just remember being at a race and somebody yelling to get the drone out of the track.
Which I completely
was
get.
distracting.
Yeah, I completely get.
Yeah. To where that's why I don't like it. I think it does look cool. It's whatever. Like
Yeah.
the cinematography of it, like I get it. It is cool, but during a main, I don't think it should ever be on the track.
And I
It should
agree with
only be
that.
on the track during practice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
completely
like
agree.
a main or qualifier is never out there. Practice, go hog wild, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's practice.
I agree. Taylor, what do you think? In the past, since what has it been, 5 years since you started?
Yeah, I mean roughly. I haven't really been keeping track, but of course I kind of started with RC drag racing and then
Yeah.
led into off road from there. But so I started out with streaming the races, and then now I'm going to say the information that's readily available,
Yes.
whether you're in Facebook groups, the Invisible Speed books, the Invisible Speed, what do you want to call that? The program that he runs and all that stuff
Yeah.
online. So, um, I think it's so easy to grab all the information you need, but sometimes you got to cherry pick because
Hurtful.
there is bad information out there too.
Yeah. Like I mean, maybe you guys share, maybe some listeners share the same thing, but I get some people texting me a lot about like people getting into it, what they should do, this and that and the other. And you know how people text me like, okay, I'm gonna buy this car, and I'm like, okay, it's a good car to get, whatever. And they're like, all right, what tire should I run? And well, it doesn't matter what tire you run in the local area. These 3 or 4 flavors of treads and compounds work the best. I recommend these. They're like, okay, sweet. What foam should I run in it? Oh, just run the foams that come with the tires are fine. They're like, well, I was reading online that these foams are the best, and you should put these in all the tires. I'm like, well, I don't know where you're reading this online, but you need to quit listening to that because that's not what people are doing. And like you said, Taylor, there's so much information that there's a lot of people that do things a certain way that may or may not be right. And then you out this information to the general public where the people just getting into it are getting steered in the wrong direction. Not saying any of my
This goes
directions
back-
are right, but
Yeah, this goes
We can
back to
also-
Gavin. To where like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Blah 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 blah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. Whatever.
I was
Sorry,
going to say
Taylor.
we could go back to the information we just put out for how I maintenance my cars in between races. That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm like extremely OCD.
Yeah, and as I talked about setting up my ride height, obviously that's not for everyone because I'm the only one doing it, and I learned it's not the best way to do it. Never did I claim it was the best way. It was just how I did it. But
Yeah, Taylor touched back on maintenance, whatever. I don't like to DNF, especially if it's something that was in my control. If I DNF, it's because it was something completely out of my control,
I agree.
and I can
there
I
to
can count
race.
on one hand, like how many times I've DNF'd a race. You know,
Yeah, it's frustrating. I agree.
Yeah.
It's what I want to avoid the most. If I'm there to race, I should be able to get my practice in, get my 2 or 3 qualifiers in, and get my full main in. At least that's what I'm counting on. So if you DNF one of those, it kind of really sucks that you missed out on that for
Yeah.
a racing weekend. And also, I'm pretty proud of the equipment that I run. Like I'm very fortunate to run the things that I run. So if anything were to go bad, like you know, I'm
it's
sure
it's
you guys all
it's
feel the same. Yeah.
yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. To where I mean, yeah, like last year, I had an electronic failure. It happens. Like it's not my fault. It's not the Speedo's fault. It's it's something that just happened from whatever. But
And no matter what you run, you really can't avoid it. Like it's always a potential that's there, no matter what.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you maintenance things and you take care of them and do preventive maintenance, like you can try and avoid as much as you can.
Yeah. It was just a little bit of an eye-opening thing with sensor wires, right? That's what actually went bad on mine. Visually, it looked perfectly fine. You unplug it, everything was still pinned. It looked perfect. Didn't work,
Yep.
you know.
How often do you change your sensor wires, Mike?
Uh, every few months,
Yeah.
not super often, but
They're
you know,
disposable.
yeah, they are. I mean, but they're also very resilient too.
Yeah.
But I mean, just like anything electronic, like when it fails, it fails. It doesn't slowly go bad. It either
Yeah.
works or it doesn't.
No,
You know.
if I have the hint of an electrical issue now, I start by changing the sensor wire, no matter what it
Yeah.
is. Like, because
Like if
like
I ever
if
have
it's
to,
slow or clogging or whatever, sensor wire, I'm changing it.
yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where the pins are very sensitive on sensor wires. It's in the connectors. At least it seems that way. So if I ever have to put a lot of resistance on it to unplug it, it's most likely going to be messed up when I try to use it again. So I'll just put a new one on. Because I mean they seat very well. They're hard to get out
Yep.
sometimes. But I mean, heck, you're pulling on it. You're like, I'm gonna break this thing.
Yeah.
What else can you guys think of in the last 5-10 years that you're thankful for?
I do really agree with you with setup information. Um, for the longest time, it was always like the Hootie book. That was what everybody really referred to it to, right? Um, but like Invisible Speed, like what JQ created with that, like it's almost something that I want to sign up to, just to get all the information, at least like where it is right now. Just because he has all the videos, he has like deep explanations of
Yeah, it
like
goes beyond
why
that
this
black and white
stuff
print.
works. And the way my mind works is I don't want to be told to do X, Y, and Z. I want to know why I'm
Yeah.
doing X, Y, and Z. Um, I want to know the theory behind it. I want to know the technical side of it. That's how I learn. That's how I absorb the information. Is getting to the super technical level.
And Adam Drake videos too, of course. Like I kind of, I had that in my mind to mention that too. But his videos are so helpful, and he's got so many on every subject. Like,
And
almost anything
He
you can
does,
think of.
yeah.
there's a lot of people that do like it. I tend to watch a lot of Jacob Hardison's videos with Adrenaline Raceway. I watch a lot of those and him explaining it. I love watching those. Drake does good. I've watched a lot of Lutz's videos. I've watched JQ's. I mean, so much information out there nowadays, especially if we look back 10 years ago. Like, we were just winging it 10 years ago. Like, we'd go up and ask what the local fast guys are running or what we know off of testing, and pretty much it. I mean, you had forums and stuff, but, like, Facebook is so huge now. I'm in, like, 4 or 5 techno groups of all 10 or 20 or 30,000 people in the group sharing information. So, and I'm sure it's the same way with Mugen and TLR, Associated X-Ray, Hot Bodies, S-Works, etc., and so forth.
There's really only 2 groups from Mugen. There used to be 3, but one of them is paused.
Okay.
So, but I like that because I'd rather it be consolidated.
Yes. Yes, I agree. That's the thing with the techno groups is like there's like the Techno RC Nation, which is just the Bible of the Facebook groups of techno, but then there's like Techno Short Course group where it's all Techno Short Course. So now like okay, I have an e-buggy question, let's go to the Bible. Now I have a short course question, let's go to the specific short course. I know other brand. Like I think I'm in like a TLR buggy group or like an AE buggy group or something from when I tried those out. Not just a techno thing. Everyone's doing it, but it's great. Point.
I'm in all the techno ones, not for just techno cars, but sometimes there's good information.
Oh
in
yeah,
there
and that's the
that
thing.
can still apply to any brand.
Yeah. Yeah, beyond you need to do this to your car, it's a lot of I was lacking steering, so I changed my pills this way or I changed my links this way, and not necessarily putting your links in that same hole or whatever is going to be the same on your different brand, but that science of making your link shorter to get this effect you're looking for on your other brand might work.
You got anything else, Alex?
That's all I got.
I got one other question, and I don't have an answer myself for this.
Oh boy.
And it's open book for you guys after that. How about this? What is your most hated RC question? whether you get it in person, you're texted it, or you read it online.
I have a laundry list.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
what shock oil are you running?
I
Obviously.
think Joey's interview kind of
Yeah.
sparked that idea
Yeah.
for me. So.
That's a big one. Um, what setup are you running? What tire should I get? Uh, uh, what spring should I run? Anything like that, like, and like I'm. It, it mostly comes from the crowd that's newer or trying out a different discipline, because I'm a big fan of preaching try the box stock setup, the kit setup, unless there's like something that's definitely better than kit setup, that's just all around better, then like, do the kit setup and then this one thing or these two things. But if you're new to this discipline or new to racing period, throw on the kit setup and then go from there. Because even if I know these different rate springs on the front end are better than the kit setup, you need to run the kit setup and then we'll put these springs on so you can see what change that does. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can sit there and say, you're getting the Techno e-buggy. Great. What setup should I run? Then I'm going to say you should run the kit setup. Well, what are you running? I'm not running the kit setup. I'm running far different. Well, why won't you give me that? Because I've been doing this for, 9-10 years on and off. This is your second year of racing. I want you to understand what differences you're making to your car. I want you to feel these changes. I want you to learn. I don't want you to just throw the book at it for your first time out and then hate it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think some of these companies spend a lot of time and a lot of money, a lot of R&D to develop a really good kit setup that is pretty comfortable for most people to drive.
Yeah.
Some of them drive pretty fast.
yeah,
So to sometimes ignore that and then disregard that as like even an option for majority of the people that are asking the question that don't understand what it is that they're even changing on a car, almost like disrespectful.
well, yeah, and like Joey said in the last podcast is, they have their own setup sheets where they're finding some really good things to use, but they've only done it for a race or two. So that's not enough data for them to push to the public and say, you guys should try this. They want to make sure the
Yep.
product they're giving to the real customers, the full paying customers of the company, are getting a good product. And that goes with all companies. We want to make sure that the full paying customers, the people new to the hobby, are having fun and getting the best ideas, the best setups for them to start out with.
Well,
At
the
least.
best end product possible.
Yes, exactly. And
Mhm.
there's so many
But-
rabbit holes to go down. Like, what wing? How many holes should I put in my wing? Should I glue my foam? Should I tape my foams? Should I cut my foams? What foam should I run? 4, 3, 2 gear. What gear should I run in my diffs? There's so many rabbit holes to go down. And it's not that I love helping people get into the hobby. I love helping people try to get faster to the extent that I know. But I also want this person to get faster in every way they can. And one of the big things of that is learning what the changes do to your car. I feel like we can all agree on that.
I do agree, but I'm going to throw a wrench into your theory a little bit.
Okay.
Right. So right now, not too long ago, the 2.2 kit for us came out, the Techno kit, right? So we know that kit is relatively new. We know the kit setup is actually a very good starting point.
Right.
Right. So now let's go back to say the 2.1. So the 2.1 was out for X amount of time, and before the 2.2 kit released, people are still buying brand new 2.1s. If somebody's buying a brand new 2.1, and this actually just happened to me like 2 months ago, he bought one used from somebody. He asked me, what setup should I run on it? I am not going to tell him to run the base 2.1 setup out of the kit.
That's fair.
I sent him 2 different setup sheets. I sent him like my most recent 2.1 setup that we like developed too, that I ran, and then I gave him the 2.1/2 setup to where I had 0.2 parts on the car.
Yeah.
to where, but only run this if you buy these parts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it does change the car. So, yes, yeah, I agree with you, but it depends on the life cycle of where the current kit is sitting.
Yes. And I completely agree. There is
So,
that caveat. You make
okay.
a fantastic point. Like with Scott Lennox messaging me about setup for, he just bought a 410.3, which at this point I feel like I'm very experienced with it, especially having some tips and tricks from you, Mike, and everything. I'm far from kit setup on that deal. So I'm not going to tell him to run the kit setup on a car that's 9 years old now since it first came out. No, I'm going to make a setup sheet for him that I run, and I'm going to tell you, start with this, and then I will help you with it. We will make it right for you. Taylor?
As far as, I'm sorry.
Anything?
No, I was just enjoying listening to you guys. I'm sorry.
I think that's all I got. Mike, do you have anything more to add to that?
Not to your setup thing, but I honestly forget the original question.
What questions do you hate in RC?
Yeah,
what
most hated
questions
RC
do I hate?
question.
When it comes to the racing side, I don't mind any question. In all honesty, like I may get the same question a lot. None of that bothers me. I honestly got bothered the most when I worked at a hobby shop. And I got more annoyed with like the normal hobbyist questions versus like the racing questions. But I can't give you a specific example because it's been years since I've been at the hobby shop. But yeah, I know working there I started to lose a little bit of passion for RC, having to deal with a completely different like spectrum of customer essentially,
Mm-hmm.
but of the hobby. I get it, like it is two different worlds, but yeah, but I don't know. Somebody asked me a question, I always answer them. So, Taylor, did you think of a question that you hate?
No, because I don't hate any question. I'm just such a
But-
fun-loving individual.
Just a chill
and I
guy.
try to always be approachable, and I don't hate anything.
Taylor just strongly dislikes things.
Yeah.
What do you
So
strongly
never going to
dislike?
be he's never going to be mad at you. He's only going to be disappointed in you.
Yeah. Just don't disappoint me, please.
Yeah.
Taylor is, in fact, the most chill dude. Like, anytime he has an issue, like, yeah, it's just this problem. It's whatever. I'll get it fixed up. Or like someone blatantly someone could T-bone him from the middle of the track and send him clean into fucking the primitive camping section of LCRC and be like, yeah, like, I'm sure he didn't mean to do it. Yeah, my chassis is broken in half, but Kevin has a spare one, so I'm just gonna throw that on and set it back up and try again in Q2. I'm just like,
Robin's
my
racing.
car ended up 300 yards away from the track.
yeah. And meanwhile, I'm like, how are you so calm right now? Like,
That happened, I think it was last year, and E-Truck, somebody was going backwards on the track.
yeah,
And,
I remember seeing the
yeah,
video.
loud
Yeah.
the front end of my truck, and my truck goes poof
Yep.
all over. Like it bent the front shock tower. It bent some of the hinge pins. It busted a whole bunch of arms. Like it was like a $150 fix or something like that, even with a discount. So
Yep.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
In the end, it is what it is. But that is probably the most frustrating thing that could ever happen. Is
Yeah.
that someone's going backwards on the track, whether it's intentional or not. That should never happen. There are times where even like jumps. Oh god, like when there's a jump on the other side of a straightaway, and it's
They jump into the straightaway.
yeah.
Like,
dude,
obviously they
oh,
don't mean
man.
to,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a complete like accident. Like I get it, but man, I've been plowed before.
Well, the one
Because of
time
that.
at Adrenaline, this was all my fault coming on their layout. I was coming onto the straight. I was like halfway through the straight, and my e-buggy got squirrely, and I ended up spinning around, and I was against the pipe, but facing the wrong way. And with the cars coming up behind me, it was like, okay, I can either try to get straighten out right now and get back out into the racing line, but then I'm definitely going to get plowed through by the guys behind me because I'll be cutting them off, or I can just wait along the pipe here, which isn't, you know, the best idea, but it was the best idea at the time. Like, wait along the pipe for them to pass, and then I'll get back out. Well, one of the cars coming up behind me while I was on the pipe going the other way, there wasn't much time to react. His line, he plowed straight into my car. And he really didn't have much time to not do it either. So it wasn't his fault. It was more my fault for being parked there. Because I got loose. I wrecked. My fault. But it, like, bent a hinge pin. Or it didn't bend a hinge pin, but, like, broke a couple ball cups in the front end. It broke me out of the race, but it was minimal. But, like, it was a racing incident. You know, his car was fine. But I know another driver after it happened, like another driver was like, dude, I like you're okay with that? Why are you so chill right now? Like, I'd be going yelling at that dude. Like, well, I'm the one that wrecked. I'm facing backwards, and I know for a fact he didn't mean to plow into me, you know, and he really didn't have to act. So there's no use getting worked up over it. Sucks, but it was no one's fault. It was more my fault, if anything.
I was at a local track last year, not LCRC, I'll say that. And I just put the truck together, and it was a different brand truck. It wasn't a Mugen truck. And I was trying to trim the steering a little bit, and it was during practice. So I knew it was kind of busy, and there wasn't like anywhere else flat. So the front straight, like I got up, I waited my time, got up on in line, put it down on the front straight, went, and then I realized it needed to trim just a little bit. So I pulled it over on the other side of the pit lane, and where you would normally come down pit lane, I went over and tight to the pipe. And somebody lost control of their nitro car on the front straight, went straight into the back of my truck, and it couldn't have been further off the track than that. Like, I was like, how I'm looking down at my radio like a trim, because you know it's like sunny, you get the sand wall, and you're just kind of like looking, like making a couple adjustments. All I hear is what, boom, and I hear a whole bunch of people say ooh, and I look up and I'm
He
like,
sees his car just flying
how
300 yards away into the field.
yeah, exactly,
into primitive camping.
like
Yeah.
bent shock shafts, bent another hinge pin again, and a bunch of other stuff in the rear end. So I got I think that day I had to forfeit the practice because all I did was go 10 feet on the front straight, try to trim it, and then I had to put the whole everything together
I think you were still out of
up
trim.
until the qualifier. Yeah. So
That sucks.
That sucks.
But yeah,
it
that's
is what it is.
like, yeah, it's not really your fault because you were parked out of the way, but it's not really the other guy's fault because shit happens. You lose control of the car. You know, you can't. We can sit here and pin blame. Well, you wrecked the car, so but no, dude, like it happens.
There's definitely a difference between something intentional and not intentional.
Oh, and it's easy. It's easy to tell.
And any sane person can be just
Yeah,
like, it is what it is. It happens.
yeah.
Just think of it as if it was you that lost control of the car and plowed into someone else's car. Hey, I mean, yeah, you're gonna feel bad. Hopefully, you go up to him and say you're sorry or whatever. At least, at a minimum, say that. You know, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you guys got? Any other good stories?
we'll see. This one time, no,
This one time at band camp,
this one time at band camp,
I can talk about how excited I am for the Northeast Showdown.
Me too.
can't wait.
I have a vengeance this time because this was my third time at LCRC for the opener, and this was my first time not making the B main in e-buggy. So I have a vengeance. Of course, the goal is A main always, but
And you have Avengers with Toby too. You got to get back at him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You owe him a case of beer too.
I already paid Scott $20. What does Toby drink?
Lenig?
Yeah.
I can text him.
Toby a case of beer. Kevin a case of beer. I need to quit making bets.
No, you gotta quit losing.
I'm really excited for the Northeast Showdown. I ordered the new JC tires, the rehabs and short course.
Those are gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
amazing.
While I was at Tony's, they offer them in green and silvers, which I have no clue where silver compares, but I ordered both.
Silver is clay.
Well, I have
Yeah.
both. Well, I will have both.
So
But I won't have them for
Ye-
LCRC. But
yeah, clay. You might get to be able to. You might be able to get out with clay in the afternoon.
yeah. Well, I figured
Like,
I'd
it's a
probably want
soft
something harder
clay.
than greens, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
silver
yeah,
was
yeah.
the only one they offered. So easy enough. Ordered both. I'll probably have them after LCRC. Because usually Tony orders like Monday or Tuesday for me, man, I think. Unless I told him to rush order them, but even then, that's just too close to call. So I'm excited to try those out whenever they come in.
Unless the order comes out of North Carolina, then you'll have them in 2 days.
Yeah. Not worried about it for this weekend. I did diff changes in my short course to try to beat that bloke Toby.
What'd you change?
I went to the 10K in the rear, like you have.
Okay.
And then I changed my front pills. I was 2 dot up and center dot, 2 dot up in the A block and center dot in the B block. So it was fairly flat. I went to I kept the 2 dot up in the A block, I think, and then went to 1 dot down in the B. So angled it more. So if I'm right in my thinking, that should take away some steering, mostly initial steering, and should handle bumps better. So I think that's going to help me a lot, my driving style and how my car was. I think that's going to help.
It won't take away overall steering. It'll just take away initial.
Okay, well that was my goal, was taking away initial.
Yeah.
So perfect. And then with my e-buggy, I also changed that too. I think I was 2 dot down in the B block and center dot A block, so I went full down in the B block, 1 dot down, and then 8 center blocks. I didn't want to get too aggressive with the change right off the bat. So I felt like I could definitely lose initial on my E too.
So, where are your front links on your e-buggy? Your top ones, your camber links.
1 sec. I am center hole on the hub, and then center hole on the tower.
Center hole long on the tower.
On the front tower,
Yeah.
there's
yeah.
only one option. There's 3 holes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, I have
Yeah.
a different tower than you.
What tower do you have? You have the JTP tower.
No, I have the 2.1 lightweight tower.
Oh, it's not the split. Is it the split too? Oh,
No.
okay. Yeah, on the 2.2, the front only has 3 options, all
And
up and down.
and you have the G plate still on it. The swing
Yes,
block?
yes, I do.
So you could try the F.
Is that what kit is? What's kit?
Yeah, the kit is F.
That'll take
F
away
has
initial.
less. Yeah. G's are more aggressive.
We'll try that. We'll try what I did first. Definitely want.
And then if you need more, go full long on the camber link on the C hub
Yeah,
on the caster block.
yeah.
Mm.
That'd be my next adjustment. I think I went to that center.
Or up.
Yeah, I think I went to that center dot over the weekend to try to get rid of a little bit of steering. So, yeah, I have a vengeance. Which I'm not getting there till Thursday night, so I only have Friday to practice. But I'm going to try to take full advantage of it. And just get out as much as I can this time. I definitely could have got out more last weekend, but I was a little hesitant. I mean, I still got out like 5 or 6 times with both cars, so I got plenty of practice, but no replacement for track time.
The good thing is this time is that it's the same layout.
Yeah.
So we know how the track runs.
Yeah.
So all the stuff we want to change, we can actually see if it made a difference.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing, was like the first 2 or 3 times with each car for me was learning how to drive the track. So that's done. Now I can just focus
When are you
on
gonna
getting
get there,
past it.
Mike?
Thursday night.
Okay.
So, what about you?
Probably Thursday morning.
Um,
Oh.
Camper's unlocked, Taylor. If you wanna
Okay.
go ahead and put stuff in there, and I can text you on how to unfold it and everything. But I'll be there sometime
I
Thursday
shouldn't
night.
have to till nighttime.
Okay.
So
I'm hoping it. I'm waiting on Davey to figure out when he's gonna be able to go, because I told him if he can like be at my house before like 6 or 7, I'll carpool. But if he's not, then I might be out there as early as like 6 o'clock.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Chris and I are leaving till at least 6, probably. So,
We still recording?
Yes, we are. Um,
Okay.
do we have anything else?
I don't.
I don't think so.
I don't have nothing off the top of my head.
Yeah. So, let's close this episode 13 out.
We'll close a nice little cute short one. I think it'll come out to like hour 50 by the time I'm done editing. So, yeah, you guys got anything?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. Well, this will drop at the latest Wednesday morning, so you'll be listening to this Wednesday morning. All you going to the Northeast Showdown at LCRC. Hope to see you there. Gonna be a good time. Till then, good luck racing. Keep it on its wheels. Keep between the pipes. And forget, slow is fast. See you next time.
Yeah.
Later.